Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Science Channel. Come in quietly. Find a comfortable place. Maybe you're already lying down. Maybe the lights around you are soft and low. Let your body settle into whatever is holding you right now, and take one slow breath in and let it go. There is nowhere you need to be. Nothing you need to do. This moment is yours. Tonight, we are going to travel somewhere extraordinary, somewhere you have been your entire life without ever fully realizing how astonishing it is. Tonight, we are going to drift gently through the world inside you, the human body, your body, and what it is quietly, beautifully, endlessly capable of. Not in a clinical way, not in a frightening way. Just the way you might sit beside a river at dusk and notice how the water moves, with wonder, with stillness, with gratitude for something so vast and so ordinary all at once. So let your shoulders drop a little. Let the weight of your hands rest. And let us begin. Your heart has been beating since before you were born. Even before the rest of you was fully formed, that tiny, remarkable muscle found its rhythm. It began beating somewhere around 22 days after you first came into existence, when you were no bigger than a grain of rice, and it has not stopped since. Every single day, without your asking, without your thinking about it, your heart beats about 100,000 times. 100,000. If you lived an average life, your heart will beat more than 3 billion times before it finally, gently rests. And right now, even as you are beginning to feel heavy and calm, your heart is doing exactly what it always does, quietly, faithfully. The sound of your heartbeat, that soft, steady thump, is one of the first sounds you ever heard while you were still inside your mother, wrapped in warmth and water. Her heartbeat was the rhythm of your whole world. It is no wonder that the sound of a heartbeat still has the power to calm us even now. Your blood is doing something beautiful at this very moment. It is carrying oxygen from your lungs to every far corner of you, to the tips of your fingers, to the backs of your ears, to the small muscles in your eyelids that are growing heavier right now. Your body has about 5 liters of blood, and all of it moves through your entire system in roughly 60 seconds. A full circuit every minute, all day, all night. The blood vessels that carry all of this, if you were to lay them end to end, would stretch for about 95,000 kilometers. That is more than 2 times around the entire Earth. All of that is inside you right now, quietly carrying everything you need to be alive. Your lungs are working so softly you can barely notice them. With every breath you take, tiny air sacs called alveoli, and there are about 300 million of them in your lungs, open gently to receive the air, pull out what your body needs, and send the rest back into the world. 300 million small, soft openings doing their work in the dark of your chest, completely without your help. If you were to spread the surface area of those alveoli out flat, it would cover roughly the same area as one side of a tennis court. All of that folded softly inside your ribs, Take another breath now, just a quiet one. Feel how naturally it comes. Your body knows exactly what to do. Your skin, the largest organ you have, is a living, breathing world all on its own. It covers about 2 square meters of you and contains over 1 million nerve endings per square centimeter in the most sensitive areas. Right now, it is feeling the temperature of the air, the texture of what you are lying on, the slight pressure of gravity. It is taking in information constantly and sending it gently up to your brain, which sorts it all like a very calm, very experienced librarian. Every month, you have almost entirely new outer skin. The surface layer, the part you can see and touch, sheds and replaces itself continuously. The skin on your face is only about 2 to 3 weeks old. The skin on your heels might be a bit older, perhaps a month. You are always gently, quietly renewing yourself. Your bones, which might seem like the most still and solid part of you, are actually alive and constantly rebuilding. Every 10 years or so, you have an almost entirely new skeleton. Old bone is dissolved by special cells called osteoclasts, and new bone is laid down by osteoblasts. It happens slowly, steadily, like the way a tree grows. You would never notice it from one moment to the next. Right now, inside your bones, in the soft marrow, new blood cells are being born. About 2 million red blood cells every single second. 2 million every second, all through the night, all through your life. And if you are feeling sleepy, truly, genuinely sleepy right now, that is not just tiredness. That is your body's wisdom. A chemical called adenosine has been building in your brain since you woke up this morning, gently increasing the signal that says, rest now. Your body has been preparing this moment for you all day long. If you are enjoying this story, you are warmly invited to leave a little comment below, even just a word or two. And if this feels like the kind of thing you would like to return to, perhaps give it a like, so it finds its way to someone else who needs a quiet night. And there is a full playlist waiting for you, full of other soft journeys like this one. But for now, let's keep drifting. Your brain, that soft, gray, endlessly complex place, is running on roughly 20 watts of power right now, the same amount as a dim light bulb. And yet, with that small, quiet hum of electricity, it is managing your heartbeat, your breathing, your temperature, your emotions, your memories, the sound of my voice, the warmth of your blanket, and 10,000 other things all at once. It never fully turns off. Even in the deepest sleep, your brain keeps watch. It sorts the day's experiences into memory, runs small repairs on your neural pathways, and keeps your body breathing steadily through the night. There are about 86 billion neurons in your brain. Each one can form thousands of connections with others. The total number of possible connections in a human brain is greater than the number of stars in the observable universe. You carry an entire cosmos inside your head, and right now it is gently, lovingly tending to you. Your eyes, even when they are closed, are remarkable things. During the day, They take in more information per second than any camera ever made. The human eye can distinguish between several million different shades of color, not a few thousand, several million. The subtle difference between the blue of early morning sky and the blue of deep afternoon, the exact warmth of a candle flame, the particular green of new spring leaves versus the green of summer ones. And yet, despite all of that sensitivity, your eyes are quite gentle instruments. They do not shine a light out into the world. They receive. They are open, patient, taking things in, like a still lake that reflects whatever passes over it. Behind each eye, at the back of the retina, there is a small region called the fovea. It is only about 1.5 millimeters wide, but it is responsible for all your sharpest, most detailed vision. When you read a word, when you recognize a face, when you notice the exact expression on someone you love, that is your fovea at work. 1.5 millimeters, doing so much. Your ears are always listening, even now. Sound is just the movement of air, tiny waves pressing against your eardrum, which then moves 3 of the smallest bones in your body. These 3 bones, the malleus, the incus, and the stapes, are each smaller than a grain of rice. The stapes, the tiniest of all, is the smallest bone in the entire human body. And together, these 3 little bones translate the movement of air into signals that travel to your brain and become music or rain or someone's voice saying your name. The range of sounds a human ear can detect is extraordinary, from the lowest rumble of distant thunder to the highest pitch of a singing bird. And within that range, your ear can distinguish between about 400,000 different sounds. Right now, it is probably finding the quiet, the small sounds of where you are, and signaling to your brain that everything is safe. You can rest. Your sense of smell is ancient, older in evolutionary terms than almost anything else about you. The part of your brain that processes smell, the olfactory bulb, is directly connected to the limbic system, the region that handles emotion and memory. That is why a scent can take you back 20 years in an instant. The smell of rain on warm pavement, fresh bread, a particular soap. These things can open a door inside you to somewhere you had almost forgotten. You have about 400 different types of smell receptors in your nose. Working together, they allow you to detect something like 1 trillion different odors, a trillion. And yet, you do it effortlessly, without thinking, without practice. Right now, there is probably very little smell where you are, just clean air, perhaps the faint scent of fabric or wood or night. And that is a kind of peace in itself, the quiet, neutral smell of rest. Your tongue holds somewhere between 2,000 and 8,000 taste buds, and each one is replaced roughly every 10 to 14 days. So, the tongue you taste with today is subtly different from the one you had 2 weeks ago. It is always renewing, always refreshing itself. Taste is not just about flavor, it is about safety. Your sense of taste evolved in part to help your ancestors know whether something was safe to eat. Bitterness is often a warning. Sweetness signals energy. Saltiness means minerals. Even the pleasure you feel biting into something perfectly ripe, that is millions of years of wisdom expressing itself as delight. Your fingertips can feel a difference in surface texture of less than 13 nanometers. A nanometer is 1/1000th of a meter. That is smaller than the width of a single strand of DNA. When you run your fingers slowly over something, a wooden surface, a piece of fabric, the softness of a petal, you are performing a kind of detection so precise it would take instruments the size of a room to replicate it. And all of that sensitivity is yours, always, quietly present, waiting to be noticed. Your body temperature is maintained within an extraordinarily narrow band, about 37 degrees Celsius, give or take. Your brain monitors this continuously and makes tiny adjustments, dilating blood vessels to release heat, constricting them to hold it in, prompting you to shiver when you are cold or to sweat when you are warm. All of this happens automatically, gently, constantly. Right now, your temperature is probably dropping slightly. This is one of the signals your body uses to ease you into sleep. As you grow cooler, your brain begins its transition into rest. It is one of the quietest, most invisible rituals of your daily life, and it happens every single night, with or without your help. Please do feel free to share a comment if you are still with me. It always means so much to know that you're here. And if you have not yet discovered the full playlist on this channel, there are many more quiet nights waiting for you there. Your digestive system is longer than you might expect. The full length of your gastrointestinal tract, from mouth to end, is roughly 9 meters. 9 meters of soft, working tissue, moving food along with a slow, rhythmic motion called peristalsis. You do not control this motion. It moves on its own, a gentle, continuous wave. Right now, if you have eaten recently, that process is quietly underway. Your body is turning food into energy, into new cells, into the fuel for tomorrow. It does this completely on its own, in the dark of you, while you sleep. Your liver is doing something remarkable right now. It performs over 500 different functions, filtering blood, producing bile for digestion, storing glucose, making proteins, metabolizing nutrients, removing toxins. 500 functions simultaneously in one organ. It is one of the most complex chemical laboratories in the known world, and it is nestled just under your ribs, working silently on your behalf. And your liver has a remarkable ability. It is one of the only internal organs that can regenerate. If as much as 70% of the liver were removed, it would regrow itself to full size within a matter of weeks, like a quiet tide returning to shore. Your immune system is something like an invisible guardian, one that has been learning and adapting since the very first days of your life. It carries a kind of memory. Once it has encountered a particular threat, it does not forget. It creates a record, a small library of solutions, so that if that same pattern ever appears again, it can respond faster and more precisely the next time. Right now, Your immune system is probably at work in some small way, identifying ordinary things that float through your body, checking them calmly, filing them away. The vast majority of what it encounters, it recognizes immediately as harmless and simply lets pass. It is a remarkably discerning system, and most of the time, it works with extraordinary precision and patience. Your white blood cells, the immune system's quiet soldiers, move through your blood and tissue continuously. Some of them, called neutrophils, can reach a site of minor irritation within minutes. Others, called memory T cells, might persist in your body for decades, carrying the record of infections from years or even decades past. Some researchers believe certain immune memory cells may last an entire human lifetime. You have around 37 trillion cells in your body, not million, not billion, trillion. Each one is a living unit with its own internal machinery, its own power supply, its own system for reading and following the instructions in your DNA, its own way of communicating with its neighbors. And yet, somehow, out of 37 trillion individual units, something coherent emerges, something that can walk and feel and dream and wonder. Each of those cells contains roughly 2 meters of DNA, coiled and folded with extraordinary precision into a space far smaller than a grain of salt. If you uncoiled all the DNA in your body and laid it end to end, it would stretch for about 200 billion kilometers, enough to reach from Earth to the Sun and back 660 times. All of that is inside you, all of that quietly folded, quietly present. DNA is not just a static blueprint. It is read constantly by molecular machines that move along it like slow trains on a long track, translating sequences into the proteins your body needs. This happens in millions of cells simultaneously, all day, all night. The reading, the copying, the repairing of small errors. It is a continuous, intimate conversation that has been going on inside you since the moment you were conceived. Your cells communicate with each other through an almost musical system of chemical signals. Hormones travel through the bloodstream like slow, gentle messengers, carrying instructions from one region of the body to another. Neurotransmitters jump across tiny gaps between nerve cells in milliseconds. Growth factors nudge new cells into the right shape, in the right place, at the right time. Right now, one of those chemical signals, melatonin, is gently rising in your body. It is made in a small, pine cone-shaped gland deep in your brain called the pineal gland. Melatonin responds to darkness. As the light fades, it rises. As it rises, your body relaxes, your thoughts slow, the world softens. It is an ancient signal, one that your ancestors shared with creatures that lived hundreds of millions of years before them. And it is happening in you right now. Your muscles, all 640 of them, are each made of bundles of fibers that contract when they receive a signal from your nervous system. Even at rest, your muscles maintain a small degree of tension called muscle tone. It is what keeps you upright when you are sitting, what lets your body hold its shape. Even as you relax toward sleep, this gentle tone remains. a soft presence, a background readiness. The muscles around your eyes are among the fastest in your body. They can make tiny adjustments 50 times per second as your gaze moves. When you are dreaming, these muscles will move your eyes beneath their lids, traveling through the landscape of your sleeping imagination, watching scenes that only you can see. If you are finding this restful, I would love if you shared it with someone who also struggles to quiet their mind at night. And if you feel so moved, a like on this video helps this channel reach more people who might need a little peace. Thank you, truly. Your nervous system is the communication network that makes all of this possible. The central nervous system, your brain and spinal cord, receives and sends signals that travel at speeds of up to 120 meters per second. Your peripheral nervous system reaches into every corner of you, into every fingertip and eyelash and small muscle between your toes. Nerve signals are electrical, tiny pulses of ions moving across a cell membrane, creating a ripple that travels the length of the nerve. It is quiet electricity, nothing loud about it, just a gentle current, moving constantly, connecting everything to everything else. There is also a part of your nervous system you almost never think about: the autonomic nervous system. It runs everything you do not consciously control: your heart rate, your digestion, your pupil size, your sweat glands, the way your blood vessels dilate and contract. Right now, the parasympathetic branch of this system, sometimes called the rest and digest side, is gently taking over, your pupils narrowing slightly, your digestion slowing, your heart rate softening, your body shifting without any effort from you into the mode of rest. You do not have to do anything. This is happening on its own. Your brain is divided into regions that, over millions of years of evolution, have layered themselves like geological strata. The deepest, oldest part, sometimes called the brain stem, handles the most fundamental things: breathing, heartbeat, the basic reflexes that keep you alive. It does not sleep. It does not pause. It is the ancient foundation beneath everything else. Wrapping around that is the limbic system, the emotional brain. This is where your feelings live, where your memories are held close, where your instincts speak in a language older than words. The hippocampus, tucked deep inside the limbic system, is the region most responsible for turning your daily experiences into long-term memories. Right now, even as you drift, your hippocampus is quietly replaying the day, processing, filing, letting some things go and holding on to others. The outer layer of your brain, the cortex, is the most recently evolved. It is wrinkled, folded in on itself like a landscape seen from high above, packed into your skull to maximize surface area. The folds are called gyri. The grooves between them are sulci. If you were to unfold your cortex completely and spread it flat, it would cover about 2,500 square centimeters, the size of an open broadsheet newspaper. Different regions of the cortex handle different things. There is a region for processing touch, a narrow strip running across the top of your brain like a headband, mapping your entire body surface point by point. Interestingly, the areas of the body with the most nerve endings, your lips, your fingertips, your tongue, take up much more space in this map than larger regions with fewer receptors. Your hands in this brain map are almost as large as your entire torso. Your brain uses about 20% of your body's total energy, despite making up only about 2% of your weight. It is a hungry organ. It runs on glucose and oxygen almost exclusively, and your body takes great care to maintain its supply. Even a few minutes without oxygen causes your brain cells to begin a kind of dormancy. But under ordinary, restful conditions, right now, your brain is well fed, well oxygenated, and quietly thriving. One of the most fascinating things about the brain is its plasticity. It is not fixed. It changes with every experience, every memory, every skill you learn. When you practice something, a musical instrument, a language, a new way of thinking, your brain literally rewires itself. Connections between neurons that are used often grow stronger. Pathways that go unused fade quietly away. Your brain is not a static thing. It is a living garden, always growing in the direction of your attention. Sleep is one of the most important times for this growth. During sleep, especially during deep sleep, your brain undergoes a kind of maintenance that cannot happen when you are awake. A waste clearance system called the glymphatic system activates, flushing metabolic byproducts out of the brain tissue. The pathways between neurons are pruned and strengthened. The emotional charge of difficult memories is gently processed and softened. You wake up, not just rested, but subtly renewed. You are already moving in the direction of that renewal right now. Your spine, that elegant column of 33 vertebrae, carries the main highway of your nervous system, protected by bone and cushioned by discs of cartilage. The spinal cord threads through the center of each vertebra like a river running through a canyon. From it, 31 pairs of nerves branch out to either side, reaching into your arms, your legs, your chest, your abdomen. During the day, you are slightly shorter than you will be when you wake up tomorrow. The cartilage discs between your vertebrae compress under the weight of your upright body throughout the day. When you lie down, as you are now, they slowly reabsorb fluid and expand again. You grow ever so slightly overnight. Astronauts in space, freed from gravity entirely, can grow up to 5 centimeters taller during a long mission. Do feel free to visit the playlist if you would like to continue your journey on another night. There are more stories waiting there, each one a quiet drift through something beautiful. And if this is helping you, a small comment below means more than you might imagine. Your kidneys, 2 of them, each about the size of a fist, filter all of your blood roughly every 30 minutes. In a single day, they process about 180 liters of fluid, reabsorbing nearly all of it back into the body and producing only about 1 to 2 liters of urine. They are extraordinarily efficient, like a gentle recycling system running continuously in the background of your body. They also help regulate your blood pressure, maintain the balance of salts and minerals in your body, and produce a hormone that tells your bone marrow to make more red blood cells. All of this happening quietly in the lower middle of your back right now. Your pancreas, hidden behind your stomach, is performing two quite different jobs simultaneously. It sends digestive enzymes into your small intestine to help break down food, and it monitors your blood sugar constantly, releasing insulin when levels rise and glucagon when they fall. This constant calibration keeps the chemistry of your blood within the precise range your cells need to function. It is exquisitely sensitive work, done without hesitation, all day and all night. Your body is a symphony, 60 organs playing different parts, 300 bones and tissues working in concert, 37 trillion cells listening to each other across distances that would be invisible to any eye. And all of it, is doing its work right now, holding you gently, keeping you warm. There is something quietly wonderful about the way your body heals. When you get a small cut, a cascade of events begins within seconds. Platelets, tiny cell fragments floating in your blood, rush to the site and begin to clump together, forming a plug. Proteins in your blood begin weaving a net of fibrin across the wound. The skin at the edges begins preparing new cells. Within hours, the first delicate layer of new tissue is already forming. Within days, the surface is knitting itself closed, as if the cut had simply never been. The scar tissue that sometimes forms is different from the original skin. It is not quite the same. It does not have the same distribution of hair follicles or sweat glands. But it is still your body, still made of you, rebuilt from the material that was always there. This ability to repair and restore is one of the most beautiful things about living tissue. It is patient. It does not rush. It simply knows what to do. Your muscles have a similar capacity for healing and growth. When you use a muscle, really use it, push it a little beyond what it was used to, the fibers develop small micro tears. In the hours and days that follow, your body repairs those tears. And as it does, it lays down slightly more tissue than was there before. This is how muscles grow stronger, not by being protected from challenge, but by being gently, carefully stressed, and then rested. Right now, while you sleep, is when much of that repair happens. Your body produces most of its growth hormone during deep sleep. The cells that were slightly strained today are being quietly tended to, rebuilt a little stronger than before. Rest is not the opposite of effort. Rest is the completion of effort. Your bones, too, respond to the forces placed upon them. When you walk, run, or carry weight, the stress on your bones sends signals to the cells that build them, encouraging them to lay down more mineral, to grow denser and stronger along the lines of greatest force. This is called Wolff's Law. Bone remodels itself according to the stresses it regularly experiences. A bone that is used, that is loaded, that carries weight, becomes stronger. Like so many things in the body, It grows in response to being called upon. Your brain has a similar relationship with challenge. A new language, a new skill, a new way of thinking. All of these ask something of the brain, and the brain responds. New connections form, old ones grow stronger. The brain of someone who has played a musical instrument for many years actually looks measurably different from one that has not. The regions associated with finger movement and musical processing are physically larger, more densely connected. You are not fixed. You are not finished. You are, always and quietly, in process. Your gut, which some researchers now call the second brain, contains more neurons than your spinal cord. About 500 million of them embedded in the walls of your gastrointestinal tract, forming what is called the enteric nervous system. This system can function completely independently of your brain, managing digestion on its own. But it is also in constant communication with the brain above, sending signals up through the vagus nerve, signals that influence your mood, your stress levels, your sense of well-being. The connection goes both ways. When you are anxious, your gut tightens. When you feel at peace, as you perhaps do right now, your gut relaxes too. A quiet mind tends toward a quiet body. They are not separate. The microbiome, the vast community of bacteria, fungi, and other tiny organisms living in your gut, numbers in the trillions. There are more microbial cells in and on your body than there are human cells. These organisms are not parasites. They are partners. They help digest food you cannot break down yourself. They produce vitamins your cells need. They help train your immune system. And they influence the production of neurotransmitters, including serotonin, much of which is actually made in the gut, not the brain. You are, in a very real sense, more than just yourself. You are a community, a collaboration. If you are still with me and feeling peaceful, I would love it if you let me know in the comments. And if you have not yet explored the other stories on this channel, the playlist is a gentle place to wander when you need a quiet night. Each one is a soft door into something restful. Your vagus nerve, the longest cranial nerve in the body, wanders from your brainstem all the way down through your neck, chest, and abdomen, touching your heart, your lungs, your liver, your kidneys, your gut. The name comes from the Latin word for wandering. And it wanders, touching everything, carrying messages between your body and your brain in both directions. The vagus nerve is central to the experience of rest. When it is active, when it is carrying the signal of safety and calm, your heart rate slows, your breathing deepens, your digestion activates, your body moves into a state of ease. Practices like slow breathing, humming, or simply resting in warmth and comfort activate the vagus nerve. Right now, the way you are breathing, the way you are lying still, all of it is gently stimulating your vagus nerve, telling your whole body it is safe. You can rest. And you can. You truly can. Your body has a remarkable relationship with water. About 60% of you is water. Water held in your cells, in the spaces between them, in your blood, in the cushioning around your brain and spinal cord, in the fluid of your eyes, in the slippery lining of your joints. Water is not a container your body uses. Water is part of what you are. The water in your body is not still. It is constantly moving, crossing cell membranes, being filtered by kidneys, evaporating from your skin, being replenished with every sip you take. In a single day, your kidneys filter that water multiple times. The fluid around your brain, the cerebrospinal fluid, circulates and renews itself several times each day as well. Water is the medium in which almost all of your body's chemistry happens. The reactions that release energy from your food, the synthesis of proteins, the transmission of nerve signals, all of it takes place in water. Life, at its most fundamental level, is chemistry happening in water. And the water in your body has been cycling through the world for billions of years. Some of it may once have been part of a river, a cloud, the sea. You carry the world inside you. Your body temperature, that steady warmth of about 37 degrees, is partly maintained by water's remarkable ability to absorb heat. Water has a very high specific heat capacity. It takes a lot of energy to raise its temperature, and it releases that energy slowly as it cools. Your blood, which is mostly water, acts as a kind of thermal buffer, carrying heat from the muscles and organs that generate it to the skin where it can be released. You are, among other things, a very elegant heat management system. Sweat is another of your body's quiet tools. Even when you cannot feel it, your skin is losing water constantly, a process called insensible perspiration. In cooler conditions at rest, you might lose half a liter of water through your skin in a day without ever noticing. On a hot day during exercise, that rate can rise dramatically. Each drop that evaporates takes heat with it. It is simple physics used with exquisite precision. Your eyes are constantly bathed in a thin film of tears. Not the kind you cry, but a continuous, steady film that coats the surface of each eye with every blink. This film keeps the eye moist, washes away dust and particles, delivers oxygen and nutrients to the cornea, and provides a smooth optical surface for light to pass through. You blink roughly 15 to 20 times per minute during waking hours, automatically, constantly refreshing that film. You never need to remember. Your body simply does it. The cornea, the clear dome at the front of each eye, is the only tissue in your body that contains no blood vessels. It receives oxygen directly from the air dissolved in the tear film. This is why contact lenses need to allow oxygen through. The cornea needs to breathe. Your joints are cushioned by a fluid called synovial fluid, which is produced by the joint lining and has a viscosity, a thickness, that changes depending on how fast the joint is moving. At slow speeds, it is thicker and more cushioning. At high speeds and under impact, it becomes thinner and more liquid, able to move quickly out of the way. It is a self-adjusting, self-renewing lubricant, perfectly suited to the incredibly varied ways you move through a day. Cartilage, the smooth, firm tissue that covers the ends of bones in a joint has no blood supply. It receives its nutrients by soaking them up from the synovial fluid around it like a sponge. When a joint moves, the cartilage is compressed and then released, drawing in fresh fluid with each cycle. Movement is what nourishes it. Being still for too long, and it slowly starves. This is one of the quiet reasons that gentle movement, even just a short walk, is so deeply good for your joints. Please feel free to wander through the playlist when you would like another quiet evening like this one. Every story there is waiting patiently for you. And if this is your first time here, a gentle like on the video helps so much. Your lymphatic system is a kind of parallel river flowing through you, alongside the blood, but moving more slowly, more quietly. Lymph is a clear fluid that collects in the spaces between cells, carrying proteins, fats, and immune cells. It flows through a network of vessels and passes through small nodes, the lymph nodes, where it is filtered and checked by the immune system before being returned to the blood. Unlike your blood, which is pumped by your heart, lymph moves largely by the action of your muscles and breathing. Every time you take a breath, like now, the pressure changes in your chest and abdomen move lymph along its quiet rivers. Every time a muscle contracts, it gently squeezes the lymph vessels nearby. Your movement and your breathing are, among other things, what keeps this system flowing. At rest, it flows a little more slowly. That is fine. Your lymphatic system is patient. It will do its work through the night. Your bones are not just structural. They are mineral banks storing calcium and phosphorus that your body withdraws when it needs to regulate the chemistry of your blood. If your blood calcium drops, even very slightly, your parathyroid glands signal the bone to release a little into circulation. The balance between building bone and drawing from it is a continuous, subtle negotiation happening all the time. Invisible, seamless. The mineral hydroxyapatite, calcium phosphate in a crystalline form, is what gives bone its hardness. But woven through it is collagen, a flexible protein that gives bone its ability to bend slightly without shattering. Bone is not brittle. It is a composite material, something like reinforced concrete, hard and resilient, designed to take impact and carry weight for a lifetime. Sleep has been with us for almost as long as life itself. Even simple organisms, worms, fruit flies, jellyfish, have periods of rest that look, in their own way, like sleep. In all these creatures, rest is not a failure of activity. It is a necessary part of being alive. In humans, sleep unfolds in cycles of about 90 minutes, each one moving through several different stages. Light sleep comes first, the gentle edge of consciousness where sounds might still reach you and a part of you still listens. Then comes deeper sleep, where your muscles relax more fully and your brain begins its slow, deep work of repair. And then, in the later cycles of the night, comes REM sleep, where dreams live. REM stands for rapid eye movement, named for the way your eyes move beneath their lids during this phase. Your brain during REM sleep is surprisingly active, almost as active as when you're awake in some ways. But your body is held in a kind of gentle stillness. The brainstem sends signals that temporarily paralyze your major muscle groups so you do not physically act out your dreams. You are held quietly, safely, while your imagination runs free. The dreams themselves seem to serve a purpose. Research suggests that during REM sleep, the brain is processing emotional experiences, finding patterns, making connections between things that seemed unrelated when you were awake. There is a creativity to dreaming, a lateral, associative thinking that the waking mind, with all its logical constraints, rarely reaches. Many discoveries and creative breakthroughs throughout history have come to people in the half-light between dreaming and waking. Your body produces its growth hormone most abundantly during the first few hours of deep sleep. This hormone does far more than its name suggests. It repairs tissue, supports the immune system, regulates metabolism, and helps maintain the health of almost every organ. Children produce large amounts of it, which is why sleep is so essential to growth. But adults produce it too, every night, in that same deep, early window. Every night you sleep well is a quiet gift of repair. The temperature of your sleeping body follows a gentle curve. It drops in the early evening, helping you fall asleep, reaches its lowest point in the middle of the night, and then begins to rise again in the early morning hours, helping to bring you gently back toward waking. Your body knows what time it is. Even without a clock, it follows the day. This internal clock, the circadian rhythm, is regulated by a tiny cluster of neurons in your hypothalamus called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. It contains only about 20,000 neurons, a vanishingly small number compared to the billions in your brain. And yet, it acts as the conductor of your body's daily symphony, coordinating when you are alert and when you are sleepy, when your immune system is most active, when your digestion is most efficient, when your body is most ready to repair itself. Light is its primary input. Specifically, blue light at dawn tells this small conductor that the day has begun. As that light fades in the evening and the spectrum shifts toward warm red and orange, the conductor begins the slow transition to night. Your body is not just responding to the clock, it is reading the sky. If you find yourself here at the end of a long day, I hope this is helping you settle. If you have a moment before you close your eyes, a kind comment always makes this channel feel like a real community. And the full playlist is there whenever you need it. A whole library of quiet. There is a phase of sleep, a brief, soft moment just before full sleep arrives, called hypnagogia. It is the threshold state where waking and sleeping overlap. In this state, your mind may produce gentle images, fragments of sound, a sense of floating or drifting. Your thoughts may become briefly strange, loosely assembled, dreamlike. This is not disorientation. It is your brain beginning the transition between modes. It is the door between one kind of consciousness and another, and it opens gently every night. Many people find this state deeply pleasant. Colors or shapes may appear behind closed eyes. A half-formed thought may bloom into something unexpected. You're not losing yourself. You're simply finding a different kind of presence, softer, more permissive, more imaginative. If you feel that now, that soft loosening, let it carry you. Your body's sense of time extends even to your cells. Many of them contain their own molecular clocks, proteins that rise and fall in regular cycles, tuning the cell's activity to the time of day. Liver cells are more active metabolizing nutrients during the hours after meals. Immune cells have peak activity at certain times. Even the cells that line your gut have a daily rhythm, preparing for digestion at certain hours and resting at others. You are not just a body that has a clock. You are a body made of clocks, trillions of them, all synchronizing with each other and with the turning of the earth. You are, in the most literal sense, a creature of time. And right now, all of those clocks are telling the same thing. It is time to rest. Your heart is a muscle. This might seem like a simple fact, but it is a rather extraordinary one. Most muscles in your body tire. Your arm tires if you hold it raised too long. Your legs tire after a long run. But your heart, which works harder than any other muscle in your body, does not tire in the same way. It has evolved a fatigue resistance unlike anything else in you. The secret is partly in how its cells are designed. Heart muscle cells, cardiomyocytes, are packed with mitochondria, the tiny energy-producing structures found in all cells. In most muscle cells, mitochondria make up about 2 to 5% of the cell's volume. In heart muscle cells, they make up 25 to 35%. The heart is, at the cellular level, an engine built almost entirely of power generation. It is built to run without pause for a century. And with every beat, it does not just push blood forward, it also draws it back. The relaxation phase of each heartbeat, the diastole, is just as important as the contraction. The heart must fully release before it can contract again. Like breathing, the beat has two parts, the push and the opening, the effort and the yielding, over and over without ceasing. The sound of a heartbeat, that familiar lub-dub, comes from the closing of valves. The first sound is the mitral and tricuspid valves closing at the beginning of contraction. The second, slightly softer sound is the aortic and pulmonary valves closing as the contraction ends. 4 valves, opening and closing in perfect sequence, every beat of every day. If they close too early or too late, the flow is disrupted. The timing must be exact. Between heartbeats, there is a very brief pause. A moment of stillness in the chest, the space between one beat and the next. In a resting heart, this pause might last half a second. It is the rest between notes in music. Without it, there would be no rhythm, just continuous noise. The pause is not nothing. The pause is part of the song. Your blood pressure, the force of blood pressing against the walls of your arteries, follows a gentle rhythm through the day. It tends to be slightly higher in the morning when your body is waking and the nervous system is shifting into gear. It falls through the afternoon, and by now, it is at or near its lowest. Your arteries are softer, the pressure is easier, your heart is working a little less hard. This nightly softening is one of the reasons sleep is so protective for the heart. The hours of rest give it a chance to work gently, to maintain its strength without strain. The heart that sleeps well is a heart that lasts. Your arteries are not rigid pipes. They are flexible, elastic tubes that expand slightly with each heartbeat and then rebound, helping push the blood along. You can feel this elastic rebound as your pulse, the soft surge at your wrist, your neck, your temple. Over decades, arteries can become stiffer, and this is one of the things that gentle movement, good rest, and calm keep at bay. Flexibility is not just a quality of the mind. The capillaries, the smallest blood vessels, so narrow that red blood cells must pass through them in single file, are where the most important exchanges happen. This is where oxygen moves from blood to tissue, where carbon dioxide moves back, where nutrients cross and waste returns. All the grand work of the circulatory system ultimately comes down to these microscopic transactions happening in the intimacy of a space smaller than a human hair. There is a whole world at that scale, a world of constant, quiet exchange happening everywhere in you, right now. I hope you are finding some peace in all of this. The fact that you are here trying to rest, trying to give your body what it needs, that is already something kind you are doing for yourself. If this channel is part of your nighttime, do consider the playlist as a place to return to, and a gentle like or comment is always warmly welcome. Your heart and your emotions have a conversation that goes deeper than metaphor. The emotional brain, particularly the amygdala, sends signals directly to the heart through the autonomic nervous system. Fear quickens the heart. Grief can slow it. Love and joy produce a different, more coherent rhythm that has been measured and documented. Feelings have a physiology, but the conversation goes both ways. The heart also sends signals to the brain. More signals, actually, travel from heart to brain than the other way around. The heart communicates its state upward, influencing how you feel, how you perceive the world, what memories are most accessible to you in any given moment. When your heart is calm, the world seems quieter, safer, more manageable. Right now, in this quiet, your heart is speaking gently, and your brain is listening. Your skin has more jobs than most people realize. It is not just a container. It is an active participant in almost everything you do. It protects you from pathogens, regulates your temperature, synthesizes vitamin D from sunlight, hosts an entire community of microorganisms that help keep your immune system calibrated, and communicates through touch in ways that profoundly shape your emotional and physical well-being. The sensation of being touched, gentle, caring touch, triggers the release of oxytocin, sometimes called the bonding hormone. It also activates pressure receptors called Meissner's corpuscles, which send calming signals to the nervous system. A hand on a shoulder, a warm blanket held close, even the gentle pressure of your body resting against a mattress. All of this is reaching your nervous system as something like comfort. Touch was the first sense to develop, both in evolutionary history and in our individual development. Before you could see or hear clearly, you could feel the warmth of being held, the pressure of safe arms. The body knows touch in a deep, wordless way that precedes language, precedes thought. Your skin makes new cells from the inside out. At the base of the outer layer, the epidermis, there is a row of stem cells that are constantly dividing. The new cells they produce are pushed gradually upward by the cells created behind them, like a slow, gentle tide. As they move upward, they flatten, they fill with a protein called keratin, and gradually they become the hard, protective surface cells that form the outermost layer. The whole journey takes about a month. The very outer surface of your skin, the part that touches the world, is composed of cells that have completed that journey and are about to be shed. Underneath the epidermis is the dermis, the deeper layer, much thicker, containing collagen and elastin fibers that give skin its strength and stretch. The dermis is where your sweat glands live, where your hair follicles root, where many of your nerve endings are housed. It is a rich, complex layer, much less visible than the surface, but doing most of the structural and sensory work. And beneath the dermis is the hypodermis, a layer of fat and connective tissue that insulates, cushions, and stores energy. This layer varies across different parts of the body and different people. It is the body's soft insulation, its padding, its reserve. It is part of what makes us warm. Your hair, each strand of it, grows from a follicle in the dermis and grows at a rate of about 1 to 1.5 centimeters per month. Each hair has its own growth cycle, a growing phase that can last years, followed by a brief transition, then a resting phase in which the hair is held but not growing, and then a shedding phase. At any given time, most of the hairs on your head are in the growing phase, while a small percentage are in the resting and shedding phases. This is why it is entirely normal to find a few hairs shed each day. It is not loss, it is cycle. Your nails grow for a similar reason, produced by specialized cells in the nail bed. And they grow faster in summer than winter, faster on your dominant hand than the other, faster during pregnancy. They are made of keratin, the same protein as hair, the same protein as the outer layer of your skin. Your body has found one material and used it in many different forms. The melanin that gives your skin and hair their color is produced by cells called melanocytes, which live in the base of the epidermis. Melanin comes in two main types: eumelanin, which is dark brown to black, and pheomelanin, which is yellow to red. The ratio and total amount of these two pigments creates the full spectrum of human coloring, from the palest to the deepest. Every shade is made of the same two ingredients, in different proportions, like paint, mixed differently, but from the same two colors. Melanin also serves a protective function. It absorbs ultraviolet light and converts it to heat, essentially intercepting radiation before it can damage the DNA in skin cells. The darkening of skin in sun is not just a change in appearance, it is an active response. Melanocytes ramping up production in response to UV exposure, building a stronger shield. If you are drifting now, if the words are beginning to blur gently at the edges, that is a very good sign. Let them. The story will still be here, and the playlist is full for when you need another quiet night. A gentle like on the video before you go would mean the world. The collagen that makes up so much of your skin, your tendons, your bones, your blood vessel walls, is one of the most abundant proteins in your body, making up about 1/3 of your total protein content. It is a long triple helix molecule, 3 chains of amino acids twisted around each other like a slow, elegant braid, strong, flexible, resistant to tearing. Your body makes collagen continuously throughout your life, though the rate slows gradually with age. The collagen in your tendons may be decades old. Some studies suggest that certain tendon collagen in adults may date back to adolescence, laid down when we were still growing and maintained with remarkable care ever since. Deep in the structure of your joints and tendons, there is something that has been a part of you for a very long time. Your lungs breathe roughly 22,000 times a day. Most of those breaths you never notice. They come and go like the tide, in and out and in again, without your calling them, without your watching them. Your body breathes for you, always, in the background of everything else. The diaphragm, the dome-shaped muscle beneath your lungs, is the primary engine of this. When it contracts, it flattens downward, expanding the chest cavity, drawing air in. When it relaxes, it rises, pushing air out. It is a simple, powerful mechanism that has been moving in you since before birth. In the womb, a developing baby practices breathing movements, drawing in and pushing out amniotic fluid. Weeks before they will ever need to breathe air, the body prepares. Your breathing is connected to your emotional state in ways that run very deep. When you are anxious, your breathing becomes shallow and fast. When you're calm, it slows and deepens. But this connection runs in both directions. By consciously slowing and deepening your breath, you can shift your nervous system toward calm, activating that parasympathetic branch, slowing the heart, quieting the mind. Your breath is one of the very few functions that is both automatic and voluntary. You can take it over whenever you choose. Right now, if you slow your breath just a little, let the exhale be slightly longer than the inhale. You will feel the shift. The exhale, especially, activates the vagus nerve. A long, slow out-breath is one of the most direct routes to rest. The air you breathe is mostly nitrogen, about 78%. Oxygen makes up about 21%, and the rest is a mixture of argon, carbon dioxide, and trace gases. Of that oxygen, your body absorbs only a fraction. Perhaps 5% of the air you inhale is actually extracted as oxygen and used. The rest is returned. You breathe in the world. You breathe it back, slightly changed. The carbon dioxide you exhale was once part of something else, food, and before the food, the air those plants absorbed, and before that, the breath of other creatures and the chemistry of other cells. Every breath you take is a small transaction with everything that breathes. You are continuously in exchange with the living world. Your nose has a quiet partnership with your lungs. The hairs inside your nostrils filter out large particles. The mucous membranes lining the nasal passages warm and humidify the air. Cold, dry air drawn in through the nose is warmed to near body temperature and moistened to near full humidity before it reaches your lungs. This protects the delicate tissue of the airways from drying out. Even in the depths of winter, the air your lungs receive is warm and moist. Interestingly, your nose alternates sides throughout the day. At any given time, one nostril tends to be more open than the other, and they switch typically every few hours in a cycle called the nasal cycle. When your right nostril is dominant, your left hemisphere of the brain tends to be slightly more active. When the left nostril dominates, the right hemisphere takes a slight lead. This cycle happens entirely outside your awareness, quietly, every few hours all your life. Your voice, the sound that carries your words, your laughter, your song, is produced by two small folds of tissue in your larynx called vocal cords. Air from your lungs passes between them, causing them to vibrate. The faster the vibration, the higher the pitch. The shape of your mouth, tongue, teeth, and nasal cavity then shapes that vibration into the precise sounds of your language. The vocal cords of an adult are only about 1 to 2 centimeters long. Such small things, carrying so much of what makes you who you are. The larynx that houses them is a structure of cartilage, the same material as the tip of your nose, the outer ear, the ends of your ribs. Cartilage is firm but flexible, resistant to shattering, perfectly suited to a structure that moves and vibrates continuously. The cartilages of the larynx are named beautifully: the thyroid cartilage, the cricoid, the arytenoids, the epiglottis, that small leaf-shaped flap that closes over your airway each time you swallow, so that food goes down the right path. You swallow roughly 500 to 700 times a day, and every time the epiglottis closes automatically, perfectly, in the fraction of a second. Thank you for being here tonight, and for taking this slow journey. If you have found some peace in it, do consider leaving a little word in the comments. It helps more than you know. And the playlist has many more quiet evenings ready whenever you need them. The human brain, for all its complexity, is also one of the most social organs ever to exist. It is built, in large part, for connection. It has entire regions devoted to understanding other people, to reading faces, interpreting tone of voice, predicting what another person might be thinking or feeling. A region called the fusiform face area recognizes faces with extraordinary speed and precision. Even a simple drawing, 2 dots and a curved line, triggers this region. We are hardwired to see faces, to seek them, to read them. Mirror neurons, a class of cells discovered first in primates and believed to exist in humans, fire both when you perform an action and when you observe someone else performing the same action. They are part of the neural basis of empathy, of imitation, of learning by watching. When you see someone smile and feel an impulse to smile back, mirror neurons are involved. When you wince watching someone stub their toe, something in your nervous system is simulating their experience. You are not entirely separate from what you witness. The capacity for language, for the precise, flexible, infinite system of symbols and grammar that allows one mind to reach into another, is one of the most remarkable things about the human brain. The regions most associated with language processing, Broca's area in the frontal lobe, Wernicke's area in the temporal lobe, are connected by a thick bundle of nerve fibers called the arcuate fasciculus. Damage to this pathway can leave someone able to speak and able to understand, but unable to connect the two, unable to repeat what they have heard, unable to translate what they mean to say into words. Language is not simple. It is one of the most complex things your brain does, so layered into the architecture of your cognition that you do it effortlessly, stringing together thousands of words, navigating grammar, understanding metaphor, reading the emotional tone beneath the literal meaning, all at once, automatically, continuously. Your brain dedicates more of its surface area to the hand and mouth than to any other body parts. The mouth for speech, the hand for making, for touching, for crafting the tools and gestures and expressions that have shaped human history. These two regions are neighbors in the cortex, close, intertwined. The voice and the hand together are the primary instruments of human making. Memory is not a recording, it is a reconstruction. Each time you remember something, you're not playing back a stored file. You're rebuilding the experience from fragments, filling in gaps with what you know and expect, sometimes subtly altering it in the process. This is why memories change over time, why two people can remember the same event so differently. Memory is creative. It is always, slightly, a new thing. The hippocampus, that seahorse-shaped structure deep in the brain, is essential for forming new long-term memories. People with damage to both hippocampi cannot form new long-term memories, though they retain memories formed before the damage and can still learn new motor skills. The hippocampus is the librarian who files new books. Without it, you can read the old books, but nothing new gets shelved. Sleep is when new memories are consolidated. The day's experiences, held temporarily in the hippocampus, are transferred during sleep to long-term storage in the cortex. This is part of why a good night's sleep after learning something new dramatically improves retention. The lesson is not fixed until you have slept on it. The brain changes most dramatically in the first years of life. A newborn's brain makes roughly 1 million new neural connections per second. A toddler's brain is actually denser than an adult's. It has more connections than it will ever need, and the years of early development involve a careful pruning of those connections, refining and specializing the circuitry through experience. The connections that are used are strengthened. Those that are not quietly dissolve. This pruning continues into the mid-20s, particularly in the prefrontal cortex, the region most associated with planning, decision-making, and impulse control. The brain is not fully mature in this technical sense until the mid-20s, but it is never truly finished. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change, continues throughout life. You are never too old to grow something new. The comments on this video are a small, warm community. If you would like to be part of it, please do leave a word. And the playlist is a quiet corner of this channel that holds many more nights like this one. Your emotional memory is held differently from your factual memory. The amygdala, an almond-shaped structure that sits beside the hippocampus, attaches emotional significance to experiences, helping to determine which ones are worth remembering. Experiences with strong emotional content are remembered more vividly and more durably than neutral ones. This is not a flaw. It is the brain prioritizing what matters. But the amygdala's involvement in memory also means that emotional experiences leave deeper traces. The brain that has been through something difficult holds that experience with particular care, replaying it sometimes, looking for meaning, trying to integrate it. Sleep helps with this too. REM sleep, in particular, seems to process the emotional charge of difficult experiences, softening them over time, filing them more gently, allowing them to become part of the story without dominating it. With time and rest and care, even the hardest things soften. The sense of balance, the ability to know at any moment which way is up and how your body is oriented in space, comes from a remarkable set of structures in your inner ear called the vestibular system. Tiny, fluid-filled canals, oriented in 3 different planes, detect rotation. Tiny calcium carbonate crystals resting on hair cells detect linear acceleration and the direction of gravity. These crystals, called otoliths or ear stones, are dense enough that they lag slightly behind the fluid and the hair cells when your head moves, bending the hairs and triggering nerve signals that your brain interprets as movement. They are one of the smallest sensory structures in your body and among the most essential. Without them, standing upright would be an act of continuous, exhausting calculation rather than the effortless thing it is. Your balance system communicates constantly with your eyes and your muscles in a real-time, continuous feedback loop. Your eyes tell your brain where the horizon is. Your muscles report on the position of your limbs. Your vestibular system reports on the orientation of your head. All 3 streams of information arrive at the brainstem and cerebellum simultaneously, and from them, your brain constructs a seamless sense of your position in space. The cerebellum, the small, densely folded structure at the back of your brain, is the master coordinator of movement. It does not initiate movement, but it receives plans for movement from the cortex and then monitors the actual movement, adjusting it in real time to match the intention. Every fluid, automatic motion, walking, reaching for a glass of water, catching something thrown toward you, involves the cerebellum making thousands of small corrections per second, invisibly, perfectly. When you first learn a new physical skill, riding a bicycle, learning to swim, playing a chord on a guitar, it requires conscious effort and attention. With practice, the control shifts gradually from the cortex to the cerebellum and the basal ganglia, becoming automatic, requiring less conscious thought. The skill is still there. It is simply filed more efficiently. This is why once you have truly learned to ride a bicycle, you never forget. The skill has moved into deep storage. Your sense of proprioception, the awareness of your body's position in space, even without looking, comes from receptors in your muscles, tendons, and joints that are constantly reporting their position and tension to the brain. Close your eyes and hold out your hand. You can feel exactly where it is. You can touch your finger to your nose in the dark. This is proprioception, and it is so reliable and automatic that you almost never need to think about it. Underneath the conscious level of movement and coordination, your brainstem is managing your posture continuously. It receives signals from the vestibular system, the visual system, and proprioception, and sends constant adjustments to the muscles of your trunk and limbs to keep you balanced. When you stand, you are not still. You are swaying microscopically, continuously, as your brainstem makes tiny corrections to keep you upright. Even lying down, your body does not fully stop these adjustments. It holds itself with a quiet, constant care. The sense of pain, which we will touch on gently without dwelling, is one of the most important and most poorly understood of the senses. It is not simply a measure of damage. Pain is a signal generated by the brain in response to threat or potential harm, and it is profoundly influenced by context, attention, emotion, and expectation. The same injury can produce wildly different levels of pain in different circumstances. The athlete who doesn't notice a cut until the game is over, the child who barely registers a fall until they see someone else's worried face. Pain exists to protect you. It is your body saying, pay attention here, and in rest, in safety, with nothing demanding your attention. Pain often softens, not always, but often. The nervous system, when it is not on alert, quiets. The absence of pain, the feeling of physical ease, of simple bodily comfort, is one of the most overlooked forms of well-being. Right now, if your body is simply resting, not asking for anything, not hurting, that quiet neutrality is its own kind of gift, a softness that you might notice just now by paying attention to it. If you would like to return to this channel another night, the playlist is always here. Each story in it was made with the same intention, to give you somewhere quiet to land, and a small like or comment is a kind thing to leave. Your sense of time, the subjective experience of duration, is remarkably flexible. When you are fully absorbed in something, time seems to pass quickly. When you are bored or waiting, it drags. When you are frightened, it can seem to slow dramatically, a perceptual effect related to the brain encoding more memories per unit of time, making the interval seem longer in retrospect. During sleep and deep rest, time nearly vanishes. The hours between closing your eyes and waking can feel like no time at all. The brain, stepping back from its constant processing of sensory information, stops recording time in the same way. You slip from one moment to the next without the usual sense of duration. And when you wake, the night is simply gone, held lightly, like water through open hands. Your body has a remarkable capacity for stillness, not the stillness of being frozen, but the stillness of trust, the quiet readiness of a body that knows it is safe. Animals, when they feel threatened, often become very still, not from calm, but from hypervigilance. But the stillness of genuine safety is different. It is soft at the edges. The muscles release their tension a little more with every breath. The jaw unclenches, the shoulders lower, the hands open. This kind of stillness is what you are moving toward right now. It is not the absence of life. It is life at rest, full, present, breathing. Your ability to consciously relax a muscle is a learned skill. Most people do not realize they are holding tension in the shoulders, the belly, the jaw, until they bring attention to it. And when you bring attention gently, without forcing anything, the muscle often simply releases. The nervous system, when it receives calm attention, tends to respond with calm. This is the basis of many relaxation practices, a slow, gentle sweep of awareness through the body, meeting each region with quiet attention, not trying to change it, just noticing. And the body, felt this way, tends to soften. Right now, if you scan slowly from the top of your head down, your forehead, your eyes, your cheeks, your jaw, your neck, your shoulders, you may find that just noticing each region creates a small, gentle release. You do not need to do anything, just look with quiet attention. That is often enough. The ability to consciously direct attention is itself one of the most remarkable things about the human brain. Most animals are largely at the mercy of the most salient stimulus in their environment. The loudest, brightest, most threatening thing draws their attention automatically. But humans can choose where to direct their gaze, their thoughts, their awareness. You can choose right now to pay attention to the softness of your breath rather than to any worry that might drift through. That choice, that quiet act of redirection, that is a profound capacity, mindful attention, the practice of bringing gentle, non-judgmental awareness to the present moment, has measurable effects on the brain. Regular practice thickens the cortex in regions associated with attention and interoception, the sense of the internal state of the body. It strengthens connections between the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala, so that the reasoning brain can more easily soothe the emotional one. It calms the default mode network, that part of the brain that is active when we are ruminating, planning, worrying, or replaying the past. you do not need a formal practice. Simply being here quietly, attending to this voice and to the slow movement of your breath, that is already a form of mindful attention, and it is already doing something good. Your body holds a gentle wisdom about what it needs: hunger, thirst, fatigue, the desire for movement or warmth or contact. These are your body's signals arising from real needs, asking to be met, not demands, invitations. Sleep is one of those signals, and when you follow it, when you give yourself permission to close your eyes and rest, you're answering something ancient and genuine, not weakness, wisdom. The body that is well rested is a body that heals faster, thinks more clearly, feels more balanced, responds more patiently. Rest is not the background of life. It is part of the structure of it, as essential as any other part. Your breath right now is the most reliable companion you have. It is always with you. It is always in this moment, never in the past or future. And following it, just following it, one breath at a time, without trying to change it, is one of the quietest, most effective ways of coming home to yourself, in and out, and in and out. There is no rush. There is nowhere to be. You are already exactly where you need to be. Thank you for being here. If you have found some peace tonight, please do share this story with someone else who needs a little quiet. The playlist is a small library of soft nights, and you are always welcome there. The human body has been doing extraordinary things for far longer than we have had words for them. Before medicine, before science, before writing, the body was already healing cuts, fighting illness, building bone, growing new skin, dreaming vivid dreams, finding its way back to balance after exertion. All of this was happening in every human who has ever lived, without any need for understanding or instruction. There is something deeply humbling about this, the quiet, faithful competence of your own biology, operating far beyond the reach of any thought you could think or any word you could speak. Your immune system, as we drifted through earlier, has a memory that extends decades. But some researchers believe that certain immune cells, particularly long-lived memory B cells, may persist for an entire lifetime, carrying the record of infections from childhood, from adolescence, from every encounter the immune system has managed and learned from. You carry the whole history of your immune life inside you, the mechanisms of cell division, the way a single cell becomes two, the way DNA is copied, the way errors are detected and corrected, are among the most precise in nature. When a cell divides, its roughly 3 billion base pairs of DNA must be copied exactly. Molecular proofreading mechanisms check the copy for errors and correct them, achieving an error rate of roughly 1 mistake per 10 billion base pairs copied. That is an accuracy rate of 99.9999999%. Even then, additional repair mechanisms catch most of the remaining errors. This precision exists because it must. The alternative, unchecked errors accumulating in the blueprints of your cells, would be catastrophic. Your biology understands this at a molecular level, with no conscious mind involved. It simply does what needs to be done perfectly, relentlessly. The telomeres at the ends of your chromosomes, small protective caps that act like the plastic tips on shoelaces, keeping the chromosomes from unraveling, shorten slightly with each cell division. This shortening is thought to be one of the mechanisms underlying cellular aging. But there is an enzyme called telomerase that can rebuild telomeres, maintaining their length. In certain cells, stem cells, immune cells, the cells that make sperm and eggs, telomerase is particularly active. Your body knows which cells need to stay young, and it tends to them. The aging of the body is not a simple process of wearing out. It is more like a gradual slowing of repair, of renewal, of the ability to respond to damage as quickly as before. The cells that divide most rapidly age at a different rate from those that divide slowly or not at all. The neurons of your brain, most of which were formed before birth and never replaced, may be with you your entire life. Some of the very oldest parts of you, carrying everything you have ever learned and felt and remembered. Your bones, as noted, renew themselves about every decade. Your red blood cells live for about 120 days. The cells lining your gut last only about 5 days before being replaced. Your liver cells survive about 5 months. Your fat cells live for about 8 years. Different tissues, different schedules, different relationships with time. Your body is not one age. It is many ages simultaneously. The neurons in your brain may be as old as you are. The cells of your stomach lining are less than a week old. You are, in the most literal sense, a layering of time. And throughout all of this layering and renewal, throughout all the dividing and dying and rebuilding, you remain you, the same person who woke up this morning, the same person who was a child, who has memories, who has a voice, who has particular ways of laughing and thinking and falling quiet. The continuity of the self through all that biological change is perhaps the most extraordinary fact of all. You are not the same collection of molecules you were 10 years ago. Much of the material has changed, but something persists, something like a pattern, a process, a continuous thread that makes you still, unmistakably, you. If this thought feels large and quiet and almost difficult to hold, that is all right. It does not need to be held tightly. It can simply rest here like everything else. Please, if you have a moment, leave a comment below, even a single word. It means the world to know that you are out there in the dark, finding some peace. And the playlist has many more quiet journeys, ready whenever you need one. We have come a long way together tonight, through the beating of your heart and the movement of your blood, through the quiet factories of your cells, through the ancient wisdom of your immune system, through the soft-folded landscape of your brain, through the faithful work of your lungs, your skin, your kidneys, your bones. And we have barely scratched the surface. Your body is not a machine. Machines are made once and then slowly wear down. Your body is something else entirely, a living process, always in motion, always rebuilding, always responding, always, in some small way, growing toward what it needs. It is not perfect. No living thing is. It makes errors and corrects most of them. It struggles sometimes and recovers. It ages and adapts. It carries the marks of everything it has been through. The healed fractures laid down in bone, the immune memory of illnesses long past, the neural pathways built by years of particular thinking and feeling. You are, literally, the accumulated result of everything you have lived. And you are here, right now, breathing. The breath you are taking in this moment is a breath no one has ever taken before. This specific mixture of molecules, in this specific body, in this specific moment. It will never come again. And yet, your body will take the next breath and the one after that as faithfully as it has taken every breath before. There is a gentleness to this, a kind of grace in the fact that your body does not need you to manage it. You do not need to remember to send oxygen to your brain to tell your heart to beat, to remind your stomach to continue its slow work. You are held from within by something that has been caring for you since before you were aware of being cared for. Tonight, you are safe. Your body knows what to do. It has always known. It is doing it right now. Let your eyes rest behind their lids. Let your face go soft. Let the thoughts that drift through simply pass like clouds across a dark and gentle sky. You do not need to follow them. You do not need to solve anything tonight. Tomorrow will arrive in its own time with its own light. Your heart is beating. Your lungs are breathing. Your brain is making the slow, quiet preparations for sleep, laying out its careful work in the dark, sorting memories, repairing pathways, preparing the dreaming mind. You are 37 trillion cells, all of them tending to you. You are 95,000 kilometers of blood vessels, all of them full. You are 86 billion neurons, all of them in conversation. You are a body of water and light and calcium and iron and ancient faithful chemistry. And you are resting. Let yourself rest. There is nothing else needed right now. Nothing to do, nothing to remember, nothing to hold. Just the warmth of where you are, the soft rise and fall of your chest, the darkness behind your eyes, and the quiet, faithful company of your own body. That most extraordinary thing you have always carried with you. Sleep now. Dream gently. You are taken care of. This has been the Sleepy Science Channel, a soft place to land when the world feels a little too loud. If this story kept you company tonight, I would be so grateful if you shared it with someone who needs a quiet night. A like on this video or a gentle word in the comments means more than you know. And when you are ready for another journey through forests or oceans or the stars above, the full playlist is waiting for you, patient and unhurried, exactly as it always is. Good night. Sleep beautifully, and I will see you again soon.